what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Purpose for Forever. I am Anthony A.D. Walker, here with Samantha Walker, S.A.
I just feel like you always say my name so weird.
Oh, I do, right?
Like
I'm saying
you
a lot.
struggle to say
I
it.
don't say your name. Like, I call
It's
you wife, I
been
call
my
you
name.
boo,
Okay, but
Sweetie
it's
Bop,
been my name since you met me. I don't
Sweetie Bop.
understand.
I don't ever, unless it's Sam. All right, so we appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. All my podcast people, thank you for listening. Make sure you sharing as well, and rating and reviewing and all that, and then some. If you're on the YouTube, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and I think that's all my make sures. If you're on
That's a lot
Facebook,
of
one more make sure you're tag another couple. Get them part of this conversation. So today we're talking about going too far and staying too long, and we're gonna discuss that and then some. Who's that in the building?
Of
Good
course
evening.
it's Lisa.
Lisa
Hey.
in the building. Good evening. So we're gonna kick this off, get it started. All right, hang tight, hang on, and
We'll be
Right.
right back.
back. There you go. And we're back.
Yes, we're back.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're talking about going too far and staying too long. This is my amazing wife's topic, so I'm gonna have a lead off this conversation.
Listen, guys. I'm just gonna say, and actually, probably right now, I'm doing the very thing that we're about to talk about because I've allowed a situation to take me way further than I'm comfortable with. And now that I'm out there, I haven't quite figured out how to reel it back in. So what am I talking about? In your relationship, when you're married, when you live, cohabitate with another person, there's always several scenarios that can happen. I have found, and I'll talk about myself personally. For me, like sometimes when I get upset about something, instead of me just saying what I'm upset about, I'm just mad. I don't want to talk. I don't want to. I don't want you to really look at me. I'm gone. Like that's it. And I've found for myself, sometimes I'll stay. I'm not necessarily like my anger wanes.
Right.
Like the anger will dissipate, but I'm out there though.
Right.
I just need to be left alone. And sometimes, like I said, I'll talk about myself. Sometimes I can be that way for a few days. It's like I freeze over,
Right.
and it takes a while for me to thaw out.
Right.
That's the best way that I can kind of describe it. I can still, perform on my mama duties and cook and clean and all of that, but like the intimacy part, there's really like no hugging, not a lot of closeness. I could sit right close to him, but there's always gonna be like some air for me. Like sometimes I allow things to go too far, and it's kind of like after you spend 2 days being angry, when you wake up the third day, it's like, can you really be like, hey baby, how you doing? It's kind of like you're out there, and now you're out there, so it's a process to come back. And I found that I'm not the only person that does that. Like maybe your thing is an anger, but sometimes we go too far with the things that we say. Sometimes you say something, and as soon as it leaves your mouth, you realize, like, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Right.
And and maybe even your spouse will say, "What'd you say? What does that mean?" And that's your opportunity right there to kind of walk it back, rearrange it. But instead, sometimes we double down. Well, you heard what I said. I said,
What I
such
said.
and such. Right. I said what I said. And then you out there.
Right.
Now you out there. And a lot of times your spouse may want an apology. You could wait a whole week for you to be like, "I'm sorry about what I said last week." It's like you've been out there too long.
Yeah.
Like you've let this drag on
Way
too long.
Right.
So that's kind of what we want to talk about. How sometimes we allow circumstances to go on for too long. Sometimes we go way too far. Like the bells, the sirens, the red lights are flashing, and you just keep going with it.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not one much for saying like I'm just say what I say. I'm not gonna, I'm not much for like the no. But I will say I will, like I said, freeze over. I will just, nope, I'm here, but I'm not here.
Right.
And there have been instances where I will stay like that. And he sometimes don't have no idea why I'm mad. And after about a couple of hours, he's like, "Well, be mad." And, he'll kind of just leave me to myself. But I can stay like that for a while. Like if I don't consciously say, "Okay, enough, Sam," I can stay in that space. And although, like now, when you know better, you do better. Like I do realize now more when it's happening or when I do it. And I try to make more of an effort to talk about it or to at least say what I'm angry about. But I find too many times, we allow things like this to happen. We go way too far. Like, it could be something simple and we take it way past the line of comfort. Like, you ever been with your friends and you're like, "Girl, let me tell you what he said." And of course everybody's like, "Really?" And then like, "Girl, he said that that dress wasn't right for my shape or something."
Right.
Everybody's like, "Oh," because they're like, "Oh, he went too far. He know he was wrong for that."
Right.
Like we have those instances a lot of times where we just go too far. And what is too far? Only you know what's too far for your relationship.
Right.
You know when you've gone too far. And then you also know when you've let something go on for too long. It's been all week. She done just made a plate for the kids and then set out an egg. She ain't made your plate all week.
Right.
And that something's wrong.
Right.
You ain't gonna say that. She don't want to talk. I'll make my own plate. And like we know that things have gone too far. We know that we have allowed it to go on too long.
Right.
But we let it happen.
Yeah, I think that's that's a huge issue in relationships. Period. I think the staying too long in a space that needs to be corrected
Right.
is a huge one. That we make the mistake we make is, and I've made letting the house be in silent mode instead of confronting the issue that's out there. Just let's go and deal with it. Let's go and handle it so we can try to move past this or move forward or whatever the consequences are, instead of letting it sit and fester and not tackling it. And like they're going too far. You like you said, if a comment's made, you make another comment. You go down that line, then make one, then we're just going at each other. And it's going way further than it should.
Right.
And now we get into like a dangerous water. Because like we've always said, though what you say, you really can't take back.
Right.
And if you're in a relationship, it's almost like a no-go. And once you say, you cannot take back.
Ooh.
And regardless of
all the sorry in the world,
once you say it,
does not erase those words.
Yeah, you can't take it back because you've had to, because we all human. We know you had to think it, you had to process it, and it had to come out your mouth. And I get like angry, like like a cussing, I hate this, blah blah blah, flippity flippity flip. But when you start like calling names and taking digs,
Right.
that takes effort. That's angry. It's from an angry place, but that's effort. Like I've gotten upset or something, and it just, words that aren't the best. Need to be handled before going to sleep. Great sleep when there's peace in the house. Indeed.
Listen, he sleep.
Indeed.
This house, listen, I guess I can't say like all men are the same, but I would say it don't have to be peace.
Yeah.
It could be chaos.
Yeah.
I think I probably could be yelling, and he
I'll go right to sleep.
like, all right,
Like if she stood outside that door and it was late, and she just.
oh yeah, he
I-
close the door and go to
I
sleep.
go right to sleep.
There's
Now,
no
I mean, she probably had a million by it because she already know if I ain't responding.
First of all, I'm from the
dead
hood.
sleep.
I'm popping the door open, and it's on.
Yeah.
Like
But yeah, so
the door will not hold me out.
I mean, I've done better with at least trying to have some level of conversation before bed, like because she knows it's late and I'm tired. And see, some of the problem what I used to do, I was like, fine, we're gonna have a conversation. Then I hit her with the short answer. the all right, all right then, whatever. Okay, yep, it's me. I did it. Go and sleep. Like I mean, in essence, not really getting all the specifics, but that's kind of like the short, just still go right to sleep. But now, like I sit up, have the conversation, let her at least vent and say what she needs to say. Try to have it, and like you said, Sean, as soon as possible instead of letting it sit. Like because I know I'll come in tired, but I'm like I know. Come on, Aunt, we gotta have the conversation. We gotta at least have the conversation because now it's honestly easier to get through now because it's just about whatever it is and it's not about me ignoring it, not about the extra stuff that come along with not handling it at the time. He said I may sound like I sleep great, but it really is not great, right? I can sleep, but it's because I'm tired. But it's different levels. Yeah, when there's peace, definitely. Indeed.
I'll take your word for it.
Indeed.
I don't know what that's.
I mean, as much as I do wake up, like I'll go to sleep, I wake up, but you gotta admit, like sometimes I'll be like, maybe it's better. She got to go to sleep. Maybe she likes me now.
Right. See that? Did you see how the hand? Nah.
Because that's what it was like at least in the beginning. It's better now. The morning, good morning.
No, that is not how that works. So I heard somebody say, how you are in one thing is how you are in everything. So like, I feel like in some instances that's true. Of course, nothing is an absolute.
Right.
So nothing absolutely applies to everyone 100% of the time. But I think for most people, if that's a pattern for you, if you feel like you go too far with stuff, I think you'll realize that you do it too. Like you do it at work or you do it with your family. I know, like, listen, with my siblings, I'm the oldest of 5 adults because they make sure to remind me that they grown every chance that they get. And I realize that sometimes,
Oh, okay. Dr. Allen says, as an introvert, I need time to think and process, so I'm learning not to hold on to any issues for too long. Right, but it's a challenge. I got you. Go ahead.
That word makes me itch. And only because I feel like it's been overused
Right.
and improperly used so much
Right.
that, it's kind of like it's lost meaning.
It's
You
just-
gonna put it up?
Oh, okay. He said, Ron says, I love to sleep and wake up smiling because my love next to me loves me versus waking up on eggshells. Right, not knowing what the temperature will be when she wakes up. Listen, for me, it's reset. We done slept.
Right.
Joy comes in the morning.
Okay. With the
Everybody joy. All right, go ahead, but
or
finish.
sometimes it could be, you've gone too far. It could be with, you're spending.
Right.
Like, if you're a clothes horse, you might be spending too much. And then even when you see it's a problem,
Yeah.
you just keep spending. Then you hiding stuff in your closet. Like I've heard of people, that do that. It could be the Amazon.
Right.
He said the
The
eggshells.
eggshells, right.
The Amazon packages. As soon as
Right.
your mate leave, you got 14 packages coming every day, and you realize it's a problem, but you just keep going with it. I think we have to be realistic about. Everybody always talk about triggers. Not triggers, but we have to be realistic about boundaries. I think in a marriage, in any relationship, you have to have clear boundaries. Clear boundaries that everybody understands. Like he knows if he raises his voice,
Right.
it's not like that's it. I'm off. I'm done. I don't. I don't have anything else to say
Right.
because we're not gonna scream back and forth.
Right.
But he understands that's a clear boundary. We don't scream at each other. I don't scream at you, and you don't scream at me. I think it's important to really establish what the boundaries are with each other and then with yourself.
Definitely.
Like if that means learning how to bite your tongue
Right.
or curve your tongue,
Right.
so you don't talk yourself out to the middle of the ocean.
Right.
And then you're in the quote unquote doghouse, even if it's self confined.
Right.
Like you done messed up, so all right then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go out here and mow the grass.
Right.
I'm gonna go clean the garage. I'm gonna take a drive. You're trying to do everything
Right.
to put some distance between you two because of the situation.
Right.
So I think we have to be clear with ourselves about how far,
Right. So, yeah, that's right.
how far we take things and how far we allow things to go. And then, part of going too far and staying too long, I think also it's like rules of engagement.
Definitely.
Like you have to have some rules of engagement. Like, Sean, you were saying, trying to clear up things before you go to bed. Not allowing a fight to go on for a week.
Right.
Not allowing a fight, to go on for however long. Like clear rules of engagement. Okay, that's fine. You can, you can be upset. You can be mad. You need to take a drive. Dr. Wallace, like you said, you need time to process. Okay, well, I'm going to give you a few hours. I'm going to go ahead and go to the store, whatever. By the time I come back,
Right.
we're going to have to talk about this.
Right. Right.
Like, I think you have to be clear about that. Rules of engagement. To keep both of you on track. To keep the relationship on track. To keep the communication flowing.
I
What
got
did
you.
it say?
It said working on communicating more often, so if there's any issue, it's handled while it is grain of sand and not an anthill.
Right. And that's important. That goes along with, like I said, the rules of engagement.
Right.
When you're committed to keeping open, honest communication going, it makes a difference.
Definitely.
It makes it harder to get out there and not know how to come back home or not know how to come back in the room. I'm falling asleep out here on the couch. I ain't even gonna try to go to bed.
Right.
Like I have never told him to go sleep somewhere else.
Right.
He will go.
I just go ahead. And
Right,
stay
he'll
on the
go and sleep. And most of this stuff is previously. Like
Yes.
he used to go and sleep on the couch because he don't want to deal with it. Now something has happened, something was said, something was done, and it's like I'm out here. I'm just gonna stay on out here.
Right.
Not couch. Knowing how to re-engage.
Yeah.
Like you don't ever want to find yourself in a position that you're trying to figure out how to re-engage
Yeah.
with your spouse.
That's a big one. And I put myself in a position too many times. Just trying to figure out how to crank the wheel of communicating to, back up, and how, a lot of times we get, you get stuck in a space, and like I said, that's a going too far and a stay too long. You really like in a space, and it's now like, how do I get back? And honestly, with separation and communication breakdowns, thoughts of, should we be doing this? Are we gonna survive it? And it's silly because it's like, what happened? and it's always something silly. It's something small, but it becomes more because of the length of time, no talking. If a week go by, 2 weeks go by, and it becomes a big wall between the both of you. And now, the temperament of the house isn't good. Now it's affecting our children, because they see like, mommy and daddy ain't kissed in like a week. They haven't hugged, because we constantly gross out the kids by doing stuff, just being silly. And we do it extra just so they can, so, but we have a good time with it. But if they don't, kids notice things like something's wrong. Something went awry in the house, because they ain't acting silly like normal. And so, not letting things fester, not letting things sit, not saying things that you don't mean, or how can I say, you don't, a lot of times, if it's an insult, you didn't mean it. You didn't mean it.
Did you
like
really
that.
not mean it?
No, I don't think I meant to call you that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if you meant, like, I don't know. Because I think sometimes people have said, like, listen, that's one place I'll say I don't feel like we've ever went. Like going to the name calling and taking jabs like that,
I'll be calling me names.
So we don't, I'm just saying, like, that's, out of all the years we've been together, that's one place we don't go.
Right.
Start calling each other's name,
So now I got to cut.
it's a no-go. So, I don't know, I guess if you're trying to hurt your partner, but you're supposed to love them, like, why would you, try to hurt her? But anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely going too far.
That's
one of those examples of where you've gone too far.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when stuff like that happens, when an argument turns into disrespect, there's some underlying issue.
Right.
Like either underlying issues with them or underlying issues with the relationship. Right. Either way, it's possible to happen. I mean, it's definitely one of those things you should do everything in your power to make sure it doesn't happen, that you don't cross the line into disrespect. But that goes back to the boundaries, having clear boundaries about respect and, not treating me like I'm your opposition. Just because we're angry, we're not.
I'll go say fish.
Oh, well,
I didn't mean to disturb your comment. Oh, but yes, Rollins says when there are issues, it is tougher to focus on daily affairs such as work. Not a good feeling. Indeed. Letting those issues and things linger. Like even relationships, that in the dating stage or early stages, they need to. The season is over. Going too far, staying too long in those spaces are a big issue as well. In connections, even with you as married folk connected to other people, knowing that some seasons have ended, some things have gone the course, and there's no more connection that used to be. And we have to recognize that. And I'm talking about that, kind of transition a little bit because, as couples, we connect with, couples we love and couples we like, and, you meet, you hang out with folk, and sometimes seasons change. And you have to recognize when the season changes that, it's cool. It's funny because I was thinking about the topic you was just saying, so I don't want to go that route.
Yeah, I know. I see that you're about to mess with my topic for tomorrow. But yeah, he's right. Sometimes, like it could be a friendship. Maybe it's a friendship that just a husband has with somebody else. And sometimes it's hard to maintain those separate friendships, those separate relationships.
Definitely.
But again, that's another area where you would have to, make sure that you're establishing boundaries. Everybody doesn't click. Maybe your spouse and your friend, they tolerate each other, but they don't like each other. Over time, all those things can become issues. Sometimes you have to realize, like, okay, well, this friendship has gone as far as it's gonna go. There's nowhere for it to go because the clash.
Right.
You know, we have to reconfigure it. We don't necessarily have to end it,
Right.
but we need to redefine what our relationship is going to be, because I have this very important relationship that should be number one. So I think all those things are important. When tensions are flying, when emotions are involved, things can be said that maybe shouldn't. It doesn't have to be hurtful. Sometimes it's like just, I really shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Like, typically when you say something, there's something in your head that be like, probably shouldn't have said that.
Right. Right.
At that point, that's where you say, you know what, I meant what I said, I just didn't mean it that way.
Right.
Or I meant it to come out this way.
Right.
But I still feel whatever.
Right.
I think we just have to be conscious of where we are, what we're trying to relay, where we're steering our relationship.
Right.
You don't want to get into a pattern of doing things that you always have to recover from.
Right. Yeah.
That you always have to apologize for.
Right.
Like that's a bad toxic habit. I mean, sometimes things are involuntary, or they're not meant the way they come out, and all those things, but it shouldn't be a constant pattern.
Right. Hold that tongue
Right.
for that extra
Sean
2 to
talked
3
about
seconds.
that. Right. That
Right,
that
right.
holding your tongue. All those things are very important. But every day when you wake up, I think, we always ask ourselves, like I hear people talking about, command your day.
Right.
And that's great. You
Right.
should command your day. But a lot of times when we're commanding our day, we're talking about, that work, you want work to be great.
Right. You said work on suppressing those habits every
Right.
day. Right. Definitely.
You think about work, and you think about all these things, but I think you should also be commanding the course of your marriage. Today, I want to do something, to make my spouse smile.
Right.
I want her to feel something she hasn't felt in a long time.
Right.
I think we need to work more on commanding the trajectory of our relationship.
Right.
Yes, it's supposed to be till death do us part, but it's just not okay. We together till we die.
Right.
I feel like there's an extra responsibility there.
Right.
And if you do wake up and you're commanding your day, not just for your job, not just for traffic,
Right.
not just, today, I'm gonna eat something good for lunch.
Right.
Today's gonna be a cheat day. But how many times have you woke up and commanded your day for your marriage?
Right.
Today or this weekend, I'm gonna do something that I haven't done in 10 years.
Right.
Like, when's the last time that's happened?
Yeah,
We don't always think about those things. Yeah, we got the birthdays, and yeah, we got the anniversaries, and Valentine's Day, and all of the stuff that everybody's celebrating.
Right.
So for me, those days aren't special
Right.
for me, and it's a personal thing. But like those days, just out the blue, where I decide today, I'm gonna send you flowers
Definitely.
just because.
Right.
Now, if your wife don't like flowers, please don't send her flowers. Like, if she like me,
Yeah. So
don't send her flowers.
Right.
Get her a chocolate bar or something,
Right.
or some ding dongs,
Yeah.
something that she likes. You know what those things are. Same for your husband. A lot of times men don't really do flowers, and that's fine. But he might like something else.
Right.
Order him some lunch on a day. Come in when he come home. I want him to have thought about me all day.
Yeah.
Let's do more of that. Commanding our day, really steering our marriage
Right.
towards more than forever.
Yeah. I think setting the prioritizing your marriage. Like if you set a schedule for everything else, set a schedule for what you do in your relationship. So definitely set a schedule for your relationship. Is very important. The protecting of your marriage is important as well. Make sure you are, thinking about, how your spouse feels in certain situations. Sometimes at work, It just, we have to have our mindset as couples just to be in that married position. Because, marriage as a husband, that's kind of like who you are. It's a part of who you are, and we should act accordingly. So, what I mean by that, in all spaces, you're thinking about your spouse. You're going places. It's like, would she like that, or would she do that? Just kind of the small things. That you think about, how it would affect your marriage as a whole, and not just when you get home, or like Sam was saying, on special occasions. Planning the week. And speaking of doing like different stuff, we have the Love Intentional Challenge that we do every week. And if you're not a part, make sure you get a part of it. Text P4F to 84576. Actually, if you sign up now, you'll get this week's challenge. Because we're running behind with it this week. We kind of got stuck a little bit. We were kind of trying to decide between some choices. She slides back in.
And now I'm back.
Y'all ever watch Saturday Night Live? It's just slide it. But anyway, text P, the number 4, F to 84576, and all of my podcast people do the same. Text P 4, the number 4, F to 84576, and you'll find out our next challenge, weekly challenge, just to kind of spice up your relationship a little bit. Sometimes we do stuff, sometimes we don't plan anything that week, but this gives you just something to kind of, hey, let's do this. Hey, like last week was a driveway date, and it was something simple, not a lot of work. And if you like an apartment complex, it'd be a parking lot date, So how you can make it work. We're all about, cultivating relationships and cultivating marriages, and the going too far and staying too long, is honestly the recipe for a disaster in your marriage. That's about the best way to put it. And it can, even relationships at work, even, like, you ever talk to a coworker about, your marriage, and they call them the old ball and chain, and you get into those conversations, and, sometimes you gotta step back and be like, nah, I love my wife. I like hanging out with her. She's not a weight on me. She's actually my push. She's my partner. And some people just like, man, just trying to get away. I'm here to get away from my wife. That's why I'm working. So you got to get away from those conversations. And sometimes we go too far, stay too long in those spaces where we are talking down about our marriages. And I know your wife is not there. And I'm saying for guys, but I know sometimes women too, they're talking about their marriage, but you're not protecting them. You're not, because it's a mental thing. Because now you're allowing like other people to degrade your marriage, and you're devaluing it. Every time you go home, you're looking, hater, ball and chain, and what you're speaking it, you're constantly saying it, and that's going to be your attitude towards your marriage, and you're not investing in it anymore. You're not having fun. You're not enjoying it. It's just getting through the days, waiting for the weekend, or if you have those kind of weekends. So those going too far and staying too long, in those conversations, in those spaces that aren't helping your relationship. They're not pushing it forward or anything of that nature.
Right. The men are trifling.
Oh, right.
The baby daddy conversations.
Right.
All those things.
Right.
It's too far.
Right.
And not that you can dictate somebody else's experience, because you can't. Yeah. Listen, sweetie, I'm sorry that your husband, whatever, like you still can be there for somebody and not get fully enveloped into their world. And I think it's important to know that, because we all have different experiences with different people. But I think, like he was saying, it's important that you guard and protect what you have and what you're building and your life. And I think that's extremely important. The last thing I wanted to say, like going too far is, and I'll say, speaking as a wife, sometimes I have to be his anchor. What does that mean? Well, it means sometimes when he's out there, it can be, my husband is great with the ideas, and sometimes his creative juices, he gone. He halfway to Africa and he's gonna own a corn farm. Whatever it is, sometimes I'm the thing to say, okay, baby, let's reel that back in on real time. Or it can be, we just had an example. We went out and he was ready to flip over the table and cause a scene.
Oh.
And I'm like, babe, not tonight. It's not a good night for that. Like, sometimes I'm his anchor. I'm the thing that reminds him. And I'll say, babe, you gotta put your feet on the floor. Keep your feet on the ground.
Right.
So that he don't go too far. So that he's not out there looking crazy. I don't send him on full errands.
Right.
Like I'm careful about how I present myself to other people.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Those who know me know I'm very outspoken. I will stand behind what I say, but I'm also mindful of my husband, and I don't want him out here looking crazy based on something that I've said or something that I've done. So I make sure that I try to present myself where I can be his anchor, where I can keep him with his feet on the ground. Sometimes it's okay. Let's just take a deep breath. Sometimes it's okay. I got you. If ain't nobody else got you, I got you. I'm your support. I'm your cheerleader. I feel like we're all called to do that for our spouses, men and women, at one time or another. Not letting them get too far out there.
Right.
Like, not letting them get too far into, dang, I messed up.
Right.
Not letting them get too far into, woo, let's just have fun.
Right.
We should focus on balancing each other out.
Definitely.
That is important. And that's done with conversation. We have to be clear. Those boundaries, those rules of engagement, we have to be clear and talk through those things.
Right. You said, see that other perspective side. Yeah. See the other perspective side of things. Right.
So I think it's really important, to be conscious of the positions that we put our spouses in. And maybe we're not putting them in there, but allowing them to get stuck in too.
Right.
And no, you don't control anybody, and everybody can make their own decisions. But be that voice of reason.
Right.
Be the thing that reminds, and I'll say him because I'm the wife, reminds him of who he is.
Right.
The man, like his character, his name and the legacy that he wants to leave. Like I'm constantly reminding him of who he is. If I see his head, he's like, I'm like, we don't do that. We good. Like, that's part of making sure that he doesn't go too far. Like he doesn't get depressed. He doesn't get sidetracked. Get too far off. Like I try to make it a habit to, make sure that I can help him stay balanced out. That I can be his anchor for those times when he feel like he just out there. I'm the thing that's like, okay,
Definitely.
come on, let's come back in. Let's get it together. And I think as spouses, that is part of our responsibility.
Right.
Like, I hold him accountable to things that he said.
Right.
Listen, this is what you said you wanted. This is who you said you wanted to be. So I need you to remember that, and I need you to be that. I don't let him get too far out of the boundaries that he set for himself.
Right.
Not me trying to make him into somebody I want him to be,
Right.
but just holding him accountable to the words that he himself has spoken.
Right. Definitely. And that, going the other way, just speaking into her life and making sure, she's getting what she's looking for in life and just encouraging her as well. We go through your ebbs and flows and your ups and downs, and dealing with certain situations and being that safety, being that comforter, and it's part of what as a man, we do for our relationship and do for our wives and things like that. And like I said, even protecting as far as the conversations and things like that, never letting anybody or anything tear down, your relationship, your wife, and things of that nature. And even like I said, even when they're not present, it's a constant, and being consistent, at work, outside of work, everywhere. So when they see you, they know this is you all the time. So we have to be mindful of that. So again, we appreciate you guys being here. Another edition of Purpose for Forever. Forever, ever. See, we ain't go too far, nor stay too low. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week, same time, same channel. If you're rocking with us first time, I appreciate you.
I think next we have a couple on.
Oh yeah, we got a couple on next week.
Yes, so it's been a while. We haven't had any guests.
Right.
We've talked to most of the people we know.
Right.
You know,
So-
nobody had anything that's like a follow up.
Right.
But we do have a couple coming on next
yes.
week. The last name.
The Williams.
Yes, the Williams. A couple. He said we
Yes.
went to high school
We went
with
to high school with.
the husband.
And she don't remember.
I didn't say that. I'm not really. The face is not like totally appearing to me. You know, high school was a long time ago. I'm old. I don't know. But we do have a couple
Yes,
on next week
Yes.
that we're gonna talk to. So please join us. You'll see a new couple. Maybe
Yes.
you might hear something great. And then
Yes.
he like a
He's a pastor.
pastor,
He is a
preacher.
pastor. Yes.
Okay. So
All right.
listen, just like me, you'll be surprised next week.
All right. So listen, make sure you're following, subscribing, all that wherever you're at, whatever platform. Make sure if you missed any episodes, you can check us. We're on all Apple, Google podcasts. Definitely check us out. As well as if you are in a relationship and married in a relationship, join our that's not what I wanted. Join our community text P4F to 84576, our weekly love intentional challenge. What's it say? We are in the same time frame high school is.
Ma'am, I don't know how old you are, but I graduated from high school in 1994. Now, I don't know, for some people, maybe it's not a long time ago, but for me, that feels like a lifetime ago.
Right.
So when you haven't seen somebody since 1994, and yeah, that's a long time. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. I'll take that.
All right, guys. So forgive, appreciate you.
I'm sorry.
Love intentionally
Love unconditionally.
and love on purpose.